Instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Potter and Scott McLeod. All right, well, welcome to the Flagstick Podcast again. I'm Jeff Potter. He's Scott McLeod, rocking the Go for the Stick cap. Like it. GFTS, baby, GFTS. Flagstick Podcast this week brought to you by Golf PEI. Golf Prince Edward Island is a premier Canadian golf destination boasting the most number of golf courses per capita in Canada, with over 400 fairways closer than you can imagine, top-tiered accommodations, and exquisite culinary experiences. It is the easiest golf vacation you will ever book. Book your golf vacations at teatimes at golfpei.ca. Just let me say this with respect to that. The weather is still fantastic out in PEI, as we just had a conversation with our good buddy Sam McPhail from Golf PEI. And so if you're thinking about a little fall trip, might not be a bad time to consider it. Even if you just whip off a couple of days, bang at a couple of good golf courses down there, you can do it. It's PEI.
Yeah, Shellfish Festival is coming up down there as well. So maybe you can coincide some golf with that.
There you go. All right. Make sure you're following us across all of our social media networks, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. Please subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And, of course, hit up that YouTube channel. Like us and click the notification bell. Make sure you never miss a single episode of this podcast or anything else that we put up there. That's about it for my little intro bit.
What's going on, Jeffrey?
You know how
golf, or are you just in the rink every day?
Well, it is rink time. Like I am at the rink a lot. It is sort of September is the beginning of I guess the winter hockey season, fall/winter hockey season. And
break your phone with a puck
season. That was brutal. That was brutal. And I got it fixed, but the frame of the phone is still a little bent, which means now when I take it back to Bell at the end of its 2-year term, I have to buy it out because there's no way I'm going to unless they take it back with the case on it and don't look at it. I might be able to skirt through it. They take the case off it. I got like this super indestructible OtterBox thing on it now. So
indestructible.
Except I don't think the screen is puck resistant. Yes, I was doing an on ice camp, and I got it was just dust off, like rust off conditioning sessions, and there wasn't really even a lot of shooting going on. But I got hit in the leg with a puck. But it hit my phone, not my leg. So it's kind of like one of those things. It's either, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because if the puck hit, this is U18 kids. So if the puck had hit my leg and not the phone, how much damage would there be to my leg right now?
Good point.
But then my leg would heal. My phone costs way too much money to fix.
Well,
I don't even want to begin to tell you. My son Nolan is ripping at me because he's like, I could have done it, Dad. I could have done it. I'm like, yeah, well, I needed it done yesterday, and you couldn't do it till the weekend. So, it is what it is. Yes, but I am on the ice a lot, and tryout start this weekend for my U18 AA team. So,
bye golf season.
Well,
I played yesterday.
It's been nice out, managed to get a couple of 9-hole rounds in this week, and with the weather the way it's been, it still doesn't stay daylight any longer. It just
that's the problem.
But the last couple of times I played, we got this massive freaking moon, and that was like the little spotlight on you that gives you a little bit extra, maybe an extra 15-20 minutes of daylight there. But the good news is I can play golf in an hour and 15 minutes. So
yeah, same. I played with a guy this week. Really interesting, just notable. I mean, we've talked about it before. I mean, I'd rather people keep playing golf rather than stop playing golf because they don't think they can play the game the way it's supposed to be played. This guy,
what is that?
This guy. No, this was good. And I've seen it. I've had it happen once before. I actually encouraged some players to do it one time when I was with them. But he's like, before we tee off, he's like, don't call any rules violations on me here. And I'm like, do whatever you want. I don't care. Yeah. Enjoy yourself or whatever. So he's playing off forward tees, limited backswing, limited as far as his body has some limitations or whatever. Nice guy. I've known him for a long time and just haven't played golf with him for a while. And so I haven't seen kind of what he's up to on the golf course. So hits it off the tee down the middle. Great. Probably, 170 down the middle. And then I look up and I'm like, my brain at first is sort of confused. Then I realize what he's doing. I'm like, good for him. He's got the driver teed up again in the fairway, and he did it on every fairway, every par four, every place where he wasn't. He knows he hits his driver well. It's got lots of face to it. It makes it easier for him. So there he was hitting driver off a tee on pretty much every fairway.
That's awesome.
Good for him. It was great to see. And as I said, you know what? I'd rather see him keep playing rather than quit, because the game wasn't any fun for him anymore.
That's a really good, and you know what? That's a really cool way to segue into the show, because obviously there's still a lot of stuff going on in golf around the region right now. So we'll get you caught up on some of the news and stuff that's been happening. But in our back nine, we're going to discuss the growing world of YouTube golf, or social media golf, even if you will, because that's sort of more my shtick than yours, I guess, with TikTok. But there's so much going on, and that you just talked about is a reality. And sometimes that kind of stuff gets caught on video and then posted on TikTok and social. Sometimes it's made up and then exaggerated for the purpose of YouTube and social media content creators. And some of these content creators are actually, their stuff is pretty funny and pretty cool. And that's sort of the topic of discussion for our back nine, is we're going to talk about that stuff. We've made some lists of some of the ones that we pay attention to. Like I said, I'm more of a TikTok guy than so a lot of the stuff that I watch is kind of funny, comical, and stupid. Sure. But we're going to talk about that. So that's a really good thing to bring up, almost like you planned it, and I know you didn't.
There you go.
Okay, let us get to our front nine, presented by Metcalf Golf Club. A natural setting, a pleasant challenge. Like I just said, there's still tons of golf left to be played this year, so make sure that you purchase your 10, 20, and 30 game passes and keep on saving compared to regular green fees. Visit metcalfgolf.com to book tee times and shop for those now. Let's start off the front nine talking about the Solheim Cup.
Sure.
I assume you watched.
Not a lot.
Yeah, and neither did I. And and I'm not. This is to talk about, quickly talk about the results, but I just want to bring up the Solheim Cup, because I got to be honest with you. I really, other than watching TSN and watching the Golf Channel from time to time, I really didn't get excited about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just, I didn't feel this,
build up.
Yeah. Something was weird about the Solheim Cup. Maybe it was because there was a Solheim Cup last year.
I think usually that's what
they rotate every 2 years, like the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
And maybe I just felt, well, didn't we just have the Solheim Cup? Why do we have another one? I don't know if that was it, or it just doesn't have, I don't know what it is about the Solheim Cup. And I watched some of it. Don't get me wrong. I watched some of it too. This is outstanding golf. Yeah. Like these LPGA LPGA Tour players and European Tour players, like they're good players. There's some really awesome shots that were hit. But
I will say they were having lots of fun, and there was a really good vibe to it.
Maybe too much.
Do you think it wasn't?
I don't know.
Because it wasn't
the caddies taking the shirts off. It just kind of thing that to me, that's just dumbness. I mean, I know people might have thought it was funny and it was a haha joke and everything, but the Solheim Cup is supposed to be to women's golf what the Ryder Cup is to men's golf,
right?
Or vice versa. And the President's Cup has always kind of been competitive, but a bit of the laughing stock when it came to those team events, because it didn't really have the same history yet. It didn't have the same anger, I guess, is that, that not hatred, but just looking at the last Ryder Cup, the intensity that went on with the matches. There's no caddies taking shirts off and stuff. Like, it's just, I don't know, something about that just kind of ticked me off. And it's like, why are you doing that? This is supposed to be about the players, and you just made it about you.
Yeah, well, that was a bet from the players about the
I know,
caddies,
but
so that's where it was. But again, was it necessary? I don't think so. Whatever. I mean, having fun certainly fine. I mean, they've obviously got to find their niche. You can't beat the Ryder Cup based on history alone,
no.
right? That's the issue. Every other cup or event, these team events that comes after, is really trying to replicate what the Ryder Cup did, kind of right from the start or whatever. I think for me, it was just a case of there's just a lot going on, and
Yeah.
I think this was reflected as well in some of the TV ratings for the PGA Tour and Live and everything over the. I mean, they were struggling. They struggled hard against football and everything else that's going on. Hockey talk. There's a lot of things going on, which makes it really difficult. And I think you're right. There is sort of that. Well, there was one that happened last year. Now I catch the Corda Hull match. I catch some other highlights with Rojang. But I certainly, it wasn't must watch TV from start to finish. And once the US sort of got out to a lead there,
Mm-hmm.
it was hard to say. Like I think that killed it for me after the first day. I just sort of felt for some reason that Europe wasn't going to be able to come back, and it just didn't have the same attraction where I was like, oh, I better check in on that. So
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you on that. I mean, it's I love it, but something this year, last year, I felt more engaged in it, and
mm,
I felt like watching it, there was a lot more intensity involved, and it just seemed like it. Now, last
yeah.
year it was held
Spain,
in Spain.
yeah,
Um, it just, I don't know, there was a different vibe, a different feel about it. This year it felt like it was ho hum, here we go
a
again
little
kind of
flat,
thing. It's just like
yeah.
let's just get this out of the way and get back into the rotation.
Yeah. So if you felt, I mean, if you're listening to this and you feel one way or the other, I'd love to hear your comments as well. I mean, maybe you absolutely loved it. Maybe there was
Yeah.
something that you found super dynamic about it. But in the end, the only match that I watched from start to finish was the Corda Hull one, which I
Mm-hmm.
actually watched afterwards. I watched the YouTube clips of it all put together, just to catch that highlight. And
It
man,
was a good match.
Charlie Hull 6-4, especially here, you know, Stacey Lewis puts out Corda thinking, okay, this is how we can kind of cement this on Sunday. We're up 10-6 heading into Sunday. Let's put a stamp on it. Let's, get that 1 point win early. And Corda just got absolutely roasted. So that sort of set the tone for the day. And unfortunately, Europe couldn't put it all the way together, but 10, 15-5 to 12.5 was pretty good considering they were getting beat pretty bad after day one.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, they picked up what 1 point.
Yeah,
They were down by
exactly.
4. They lost by 3. So,
Yeah.
so the U.S. Got out to a big lead, 10-6 headed into Sunday, 4 point deficit. That's a lot to make up. Not
Mm-hmm.
impossible by any means when you
No.
get into singles. Corda, like we just said, was beat 6-4 by Hull in the very first match on Sunday. Charlie Hull had 3 points for Europe. She was the
Yeah.
star.
Yeah.
And Rojang had all 4 of hers for the U.S. So a star on the other side too. So that's, there you go. That's what makes the difference, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Speaking of Ryder Cups and Solheim Cups, the OVGA Ryder Cup
Mm-hmm.
is was at Gatineau
Yeah.
on Monday the 16th. It's a 2-person event. It's a 2-person team event for men and women, where
Yeah.
teams play a scramble. It's a 6-6-6 event.
6-6-6. Yeah.
Scramble, alternate shot, and better ball formats. We encourage you just to head over to the website for all the results from that
Yeah.
event, rather than us getting into the
Yeah.
the
I'll just give
long
it.
list of.
I'll give you the two ones quick. Lee's Jubenville, and yeah, he's
You don't even need to say anymore,
Jubenville
but go ahead.
Jubenville Pilon took it on the women's side, and then the Bowie Abbas Mills and Craig Domville, who both play out of Gatineau, use that home course advantage and that's in the Gross Division Flight 1. So there's more results there, but yeah, as you said, you can go to flagstick.com and catch all the results there.
Oh, perfect. Flagstick.com PGA of Ottawa Tour Fall Championship was held at Stonebridge, and the winners were Graham Gunn in the senior and Roger Beal in the regular division, and
Yep.
Tyler Epp of Riedeview wrapped up the Player of the Year honors for his overall season performance. And I should also mention that Graham Gunn set the competitive course record at Stonebridge during that event as well.
Yeah, they were both records off their respective tees. So they were 65 and 67. So they were both records.
Crazy. Yeah. Now Stonebridge has changed a lot over the years too.
It has.
Par
70, 6,024 yards. But, you know, it was funny. I had somebody comment on Facebook, and maybe you're listening to this, but I mean, and, you know, I obviously commented back, but, you know, just in an informative way. But it's like, why are they going there? It's pretty much an executive golf course. No, it's par 70, 6,000 yards. The lowest score wins. Stonebridge is gracious enough to host. What's it matter? Lowest score wins. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Everybody's
3,000 yards.
Everybody's playing the same golf course. It doesn't really matter how long it is. Now, and at the same time, if anybody's played Stonebridge, we're not talking about a golf course, a 6,000 or a 5,800 yard par 70 golf course that has a tee and a fairway and a green and nothing else. There's water everywhere. There's bunkers everywhere. There's turns and this is not an easy golf course, especially the green complexes are very complex green complexes.
Imagine that. Wonder how they got their name.
Wow. Green complexes.
But yes, you know what? It's a good spot for the fall championship. Yeah, and, you know,
it's all good.
So
because you never know what kind of weather. That's the thing. You never know in September what kind of weather you're going to get. So you don't exactly want them out playing 6,600 yard golf courses. Like I'll tell you right now, if they're out playing a golf course like the Marshes, which is an awesome golf course as well, and it's
all the way back,
the way the weather was at the OVGA Cup when I was caddying for my son Brandon there.
No,
that's like that's a golf course. That's a time where you'd rather be playing a golf course like Stonebridge, where it's 50-mile-an-hour winds and it's cold and
and it's nice to see. Riedeview had a great week because they also had one of their candidates play in, so they did really well there. And it's nice to see, Tyler Epps. Always nice to see a new face as far as the Player of the Year. You got a young guy there, fresh face. You can't dominate that title forever. So good on Tyler for the consistency. And we'll see more of those players very, very soon, which leads into the next bit.
Well, let's bump the next bit for a second.
Sure. Okay.
And let's talk about the NCAA men's D1 tournament that was held in Canada. This week with the inaugural Canadian collegiate invitational that was played at Ovenbird in the Muskoka region, hosted by Kent State and Notre Dame, who both have Canadian head coaches, John Mills and John Handrigan. Let's talk about that for a minute, because that's really kind of cool, because NCAA, as we know, it's a U.S. That's where the schools are. There's no NCAA schools in Canada that I know of.
Division II, there is Simon Fraser. Yeah,
right.
So they've hosted a Division II men's event before, right? And that's why we're designated this as being a D1 event.
Yes, so this is a D1 event. This is the primarily we're talking the best of the best. These are the people that you hear about later on in life. A lot of them. There was the inaugural event was held up at the Muskokas at the Ovenbird Golf Club. Great golf course, by the way. Notre, despite the fact that there was some really interesting final at the leaderboard in the top three, and it was Notre Dame that surged back, came back hard from an 11-stroke deficit to beat out Missouri and Michigan. Hunter Thompson of Michigan, who's from Calgary, won the individual title at -14. But what was right behind Hunter Thompson of Michigan?
Two of our Eastern Ontario golfers were right back at them, chasing them. I mean, Hunter was going to be hard to beat. We were fortunate; we had some eyeballs on the ground, so they were a little bit better than the live leaderboard that was actually only happening every couple of holes. So that let us know where things were at. But Isaiah Ibbett of Orleans, who plays out of Camelot, as at Kent State, was a freshman there. He ended up second, and then Ashton McCullough, obviously, who won the 2023 Canadian Men's Amateur from Kingston and plays for Michigan State. He finished in third. So that was pretty cool because you got to remember, these schools, I mean, the players there were from all over the world that play for these schools, and it was big motivation for these players to basically get themselves up there, because here's having this NCAA event in Canada. Cool, side thing here is that Hunter earns a spot in the 2025 RBC Canadian Open as a result of this, and the top 5 players, including Isaiah and Ashton, are guaranteed a spot in the Canadian Men's Amateur next year. Ashton's already in it as a past champion in the last 5 years. So, but that guaranteed Isaiah's spot there as well. So,
there you go.
Great for them. And Notre Dame, I should mention, John Handrigan, this event. So, Ovenbird is in McTier, Ontario, up near Parry Sound. And John Handrigan is actually from Bracebridge, 43 minutes down the road. So cool for him.
Yeah.
To be, Muskoka, to be able to make this happen. Coaches were super happy. This event, they're excited to have it back next year. They're hoping that they can introduce a women's division at some point as well, which would be even more fantastic, because we have so many good young Canadians that are playing collegiate golf, not only in Canada, but the US as well.
Right. Okay, cool. And now, in keeping with sort of the collegiate golf side of things, you had the opportunity, I think, to spend a little bit of time down at Cataraqui Golf and Country Club, and Queen's University hosted and Cataraqui hosted the OUA Sport Burt Key Invitational this past weekend at Cataraqui. Teams from Queen's, Ottawa U, Carleton, Brock, Guelph, Laurier, McMaster, and Bishops took part in the event. And the winners were Queens for the women's team, Laurier for the men's team, Ryan Crowley for Queens, Kylie Rodriguez for Queens were individual gold medalists in the event. So it's great that this is awesome to see. We've got an NCAA men's D1 coming to Canada and playing and having some really top players. We've got our top Canadian universities playing at a great golf course like Cataraqui in the Burt Key Invitational. So it's great to see, top-notch golf in Canada and in our region, from both Canada and the US.
Yeah. And it's growing in Canada. It's getting more support. I will say I was walking with some parents and coaches and things like that during the week. Most of these teams are clubs. They're not official sports at their schools, so they don't necessarily get the same level of support. So I would encourage people that if they can, to try and see if they can support some of the teams, especially if they're alumni or something from here. But it's a little tough when all of a sudden the kids might have to pay for their own bags, and there's a lot of stuff that goes into this, and they really want to grow the schedule. They want to grow the events. The quality of golf was exceptional. I mean, Ryan Crowley was, he was 66 in his win. Kylie was a couple over, but there, it's a good golf course and there's good level of play.
Yeah.
And these are kids as well. A lot of the kids in this field, some of them are doing second and third degrees and they've already played golf in the States. So it's not like, these are a bunch of chops, and the schools are, hiring better coaches, creating better programs, doing more training. And, I would encourage people to get out and watch them and support the teams when they can.
There you go. All right. Well, before we jump out to our break and then get into our social media content discussion in the back nine, just one last thing to mention. The Ping Challenge Cup, presented by Flagstick.com, is being held this Sunday and Monday, 2-day event this year at Smuggler's Glen down in the Gananoque area, Thousand Islands area. 12-player teams, 9 open players, 2 seniors, and 1 woman from each form each team. Last year, HPs captained by myself, celebrity captain, however you want to put
it.
Honorary captain by myself, defeated the assistant professional team captained by one Mr. McLeod, 13-11. Nice close match.
It was a close one.
As they always are. They always seem to be anyway. I guess they aren't always that way. But so now we're 8-5 HPs all time. You got a lot of ground to make up with your team there. It's going to be a tough weekend. Sadly, I am in in colder climate for the next 7 days. But
I'm gonna drink coffee by myself.
Yeah, you gotta drink coffee by yourself. I said before, there's a chance that I might be able to get down on Monday. It just depends on what happens with this ice schedule on Monday night, but we'll see what I can do. That said, it's going to be an awesome 2-day match.
Great venue.
The pairings for Sunday, they're teamed up. It's like Ryder Cup style, so they play 9 and 9, best ball and it's just best ball, right? So it's I'm confused now with even the format. No, they do with the alternate shots. 9 and 9. Yeah. Sorry. They do a modified alternate shot. My mistake.
Correct. Yeah.
And then Monday is when it happens. Baby. Singles. Because no matter what happens in the Sunday matches, as we've known from experience with this event and Ryder Cups and Solheim Cups and President's Cups, the real meat and potatoes happens in the singles matches.
It does.
That's when things really get nasty.
I'm hoping I don't have to babysit a bunch of people on Sunday night. It is an overnighter, so everybody's away from town. Have a nice dinner. Okay. Hey guys, only one glass of wine.
My team, we have a curfew. So
okay.
Nice. I haven't told them yet, but I'll make a formal announcement about the 9 p.m. curfew.
Let's see how that
we'll see if it gets enforced, but I'm not there. I can say it, so at least I come across as being the good captain, right?
I'm going to tell them that you told them they could stay out till 3 a.m. and go to the casino, hang out, do whatever. Maybe I'll give them some extra drink tickets.
Some of them, I don't think some of them will make it past 10 o'clock.
I got to do something to get this extra point. I got to get it back to 8-6.
Yeah, well, you can try. All right, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, as we promised, we're going to talk a little bit about social media, content creators, some of the channels that we watch and things like that. Yep. And there's some interesting little fun conversation going on about that. So that's when we get back, take a break. You're listening to the Flagstick podcast with Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod.
When you golf on Prince Edward Island, there are over 400 fairways closer than you can imagine. Not to mention countless miles of pristine beaches and a rich world-class culinary experience. So get here fast, then take it slow and play around on Island Time. Golf Prince Edward Island.
All right, well, welcome back to the Flagstick podcast. I'm Jeff Botter, he's Scott McLeod, and we got some stuff we want to discuss that we mentioned off the top of the show, and as we led into the break, we're going to get into some discussion about YouTube, social media, golf, content creation, and things like that here on the Back Nine, which is presented again this week by Falcon Ridge Golf Club. With 27 holes of fun and challenging golf at great rates, Falcon Ridge is a golfing experience you cannot avoid. And the experience got even better by building the first TrackMan range facility in Eastern Ontario. TrackMan Range is all about exciting, easy-to-use features that provide the ultimate range experience for every golfer at every level. That's practice, play, games, and virtual golf. To book your tee times or to book one of the 10 TrackMan range bays, visit falconridgegolf.ca. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself there at Falcon Ridge because they have 4 TrackMans that they do in the winter.
That's right, inside, and, exactly.
We still got tons of golf season left to go here, so we don't really be talking about winter golf yet. But
no, especially with
that you do have to play indoors. Yeah. I'm sure that they're starting to get to the point where they're going to start getting those set up and ready to go. Yeah. So when that weather changes, boom.
The weather's so good, and it's supposed to be so good for the next little while. So yeah, it's going to be
lap it up, everybody.
Good transition.
Lap it up. Get as much.
You didn't
golf.
You didn't note my shirt today. By the way.
I saw your shirt, but it's kind of behind your microphone. I got the Flagstick one because that's another thing.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to keep it separate.
Trying to get ahead of yourself.
I don't want to give away too much of the
I'm just trying to get the vibes getting ready for the weekend.
The vibes are already going, man. You can wear whatever. You can wear as many shirts as you like.
I'll try.
At the end of the day,
many hats as I like to.
At the end of the day, what does it matter?
There you go.
It's going to be 9 to 5. Okay. Sorry. If you can't trash talk, what can you do?
That's right. Not much else.
Okay. So this is the modern era that we live in now. This is what it's all about. It's about social media. That's what this is about. Social media, which includes YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, whatever you want to put it all out there. Snapchat, libbity-doo,
whatever,
whatever the kids are into. And it's
more
about
than just
content.
Kids.
Yes, I know.
More than just kids.
It's about content creation.
Yeah.
This is where revenue comes from. This is how businesses promote themselves. We use social media, not so much for, the way that these $1 million YouTubers do it, but we use it to promote things that we do within our business, core business, which is, the website is our core product right now. And a lot of the social media that we do drives traffic to the website for the things that people can read, because you can't put everything on social media.
You split,
like for us anyway,
split everything. Yeah, you split everything, and we're active on all the different channels for sure.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, it's about fun. I mean, here's the thing. I've talked about it before. There's a lot of people that are coming to golf now who just don't think about golf in the traditional way that everybody grew up. Like we grew up. I wouldn't say everybody. I mean, people, of our era. In our era, we watched TV. We watched broadcast on TV.
Yeah.
Golf Channel was a big deal. For anything outside of that, it had to come on a DVD or a VHS tape or whatever. So now there's just many more. Yeah, but there's just many more platforms that, as you said, the younger clientele, new clientele to golf are attracted to, are used to seeing, are used to being engaged in, and it can't be ignored. And it's obviously not being ignored by even the major governing bodies in golf, for an example, who are very active in this sort of thing. And we'll get to it, obviously. During the Tour Championship, the PGA Tour engaged by having a creator classic during the Pro-Am, where they had a YouTube exclusive event that was happening with content creators. So they're realizing that it's important to attract a different audience, not a dying audience, not an audience that's averaging 65 plus in age. The future, and if you want to reach the future of golf and everything else, you have to go where the youth are, or where younger audience are. And that means platforms like YouTube. The great, or YouTube, social media, whatever the case may be. The great part about it is that there's less barriers here for people that are going to produce content, much as the internet provided. But the other side of it is, yes, you're still going to have crap because there are no editors and stuff like that. But that's really not what it's about. We want to really talk a little bit about a kind of, maybe our habits, how they've changed it, maybe point out some different channels, some different accounts, different things that we look and watch and are paying attention to, whether they're successful now or they're going to be successful in the future. And again, just engaging with that audience. Podcasts themselves, like this podcast, is a whole different medium, and how people. So the medium is the medium. The content is the content. So, people just have to realize that, yes, while we call it YouTube or social media golf, it's still stuff that's happening. It's just now recorded and has a venue to be exposed to, a wider audience.
Well, that's the thing. And like everybody that creates the content has a different angle that they're trying to follow.
Totally.
There's some humorous ones, which tend to be the ones that I gravitate towards, the little snippets. There's the ones that are done that are longer, that we talked about with Bryson DeChambeau and what he's doing. But then there's ones like Bryson's that are longer and involve high level celebrities. They get a lot of attention, and that they have a charitable component to it. It's not necessarily about Bryson DeChambeau trying to make money off content creation for himself, trying to make money and from a charitable side. And then you have like us, where we do a podcast, and the podcast is informative and it's part of a bigger picture.
To think it is.
I'm going to say that it is.
Okay.
I'm going to say that
I'll go with it
it's
too.
humorous at times. I'm going to say that it's quirky and corny at times. I'm going to say that, you know,
But whatever the case may
yeah,
be.
it serves its purpose for
Yeah.
us.
Right.
It's like the modern day sort of radio show where you got, you know, I mean, when I did fairways and flagsticks with Tony Dunn on CFRA back in the day, it was two guys sitting at a table with two microphones, and we just did this, you know, and we talked golf, and we brought up topics, and we had guests and things like that, and it went out over the airways. Well, now it's two guys. You're in Kingston, I'm in Ottawa. We're over Zoom. We got two microphones in front of us. We got a general framework of what we want to talk about for the day, and we go off topic all the time because that's just the way we are. We're old, and we talk golf, and then we just happen to record it in video form, and we broadcast it in video and audio form. Well, that's just the way it is. So there's so much, you know. So let's talk about, Scott, what interests you when you're like, for you personally, social media, you know, whether it's YouTube, whether it's different social media networks, like what are you gravitating towards and spending your time on your phone? Because that's what we do.
That's where a lot of it's consumed, for sure.
You know,
I will say I'm consuming more of it on TV than ever, which is kind of interesting because I'm streaming things like YouTube, you know, to TV. I find myself not looking at the broadcast channels as much and looking for that content that's over kind of YouTube. I think it's a mix for me. I mean, obviously you have some things that I look at from a professional level. I'm looking for things from, you know, like we talked about Solheim Cup highlights. I'm looking for that, you know, to check that afterwards. Obviously I can look at that, you know, kind of on a laptop, but you can check it on a phone, whatever. I'm looking at things like from an education standpoint. I look at, you know, people that I know that are quite qualified in certain areas that I have an interest in from a golf instruction standpoint. So I look at that way. I don't look at golf instruction from an entertainment aspect of it because I want it to be factual more than just goofy or whatever, which there are, you know, people that obviously do some things that are golf instruction, but it's, you know, more tongue in cheek and kind of goofier and whatever. I'd say that the things that I'm sort of attracted to are consistency in the content. You know, it's coming out kind of all the time. I'd say, you know, it has to do a lot with the personalities of the people and the traits that they have. You know, do they feel like they're genuine? Do they feel like they're doing this because they're actually interested in it? Are they good at what they do? Are they just doing it for clickbait? And you know, that's not really my thing. If it's, you know, if every thumbnail is just, you know, clickbait, not really interested. But you know, there's definitely some entertainment value in that. There's certainly more camera angles, more different things that we're going to see that we might not see on broadcast TV. But you also have the ability to scroll forward and backwards as much as you can, and you know, go on to the next thing or whatever. So I would say it's a wide array for sure. Quality production has become important in looking, especially some of the stuff in the longer form. You know, it's hard to find a, you know, we'll talk about a playing vlog. It's hard to find one now without shot tracers or multiple camera angles. It's becoming more sophisticated for sure. That doesn't guarantee it's going to be successful, because, you know, you still have to gravitate and find some sort of emotional attachment to the people that are there, whether you respect them, like their information, or find them entertaining. That's going to be important. If you all of a sudden see the person and they turn you off by kind of what they say or how they say it, or you recognize quickly that maybe they don't really have a lot to offer, you know, those channels and social media accounts and stuff just tend to disappear. They're not putting in the work or whatever. So what about you? That's a lot from me. So.
I am an entertainment. Purely for me, it's nothing on YouTube really. I don't spend very much, because for me, YouTube, I don't stream a lot on TV. There really is only, in our house, we have one main TV that's on the main floor of the house, and everybody kind of uses it to whatever. My wife and I have some certain things that we watch at night during the week and on weekends. So I don't really spend a lot of time streaming. I don't stream really anything.
Okay.
I have 2 or 3 podcasts that I listen to that are some golf related, a couple hockey related. that I listen to through Spotify, and I primarily listen to those in the car.
Okay.
And
And
I
I think that's pretty common.
I am really about when it comes to the social media. I'm a TikTok
Just like
guy.
short, quick stuff. Yeah.
Short, 30-second, 1 minute max, a couple of longer skits.
Squirrel.
Yeah, it really is. It's like whatever's shiny at the time. And it pops up in my feed. It catches my interest. If I like who the characters are that are doing stuff, and I find it funny or interesting, then I'll favorite it, and then I can come back to it.
Actually, you know what? You say that. I love that term, characters, because it becomes very obvious, especially if you dig into people, whether is this them or are they playing a character, right?
Exactly.
And again, neither is negative. It's just their style, and I think that's the great part about these platforms is there's just such a variety that you can get a bit of everything. You don't necessarily have to go one style or whatever, but you can go with the people that are obviously playing a character. They have bits, things they're doing. A Saint Andre who does a lot of comedy stuff. You have a number that you have from a short perspective here, and they attract me as well. So I would say it's kind of a mix.
Yeah.
But I think you banged onto it pretty well. It's like, okay, what's fun? What's maybe I just need some entertainment for a minute.
Well, I mean, one of my very favorites that I got latched onto was Four Brothers.
Okay, and I've never heard of them.
They're from the UK.
Okay,
absolutely hilarious. These guys. The skits that they do. It's TikTok. Yeah, they very much will take something that is an everyday thing. Like I just watched one the other day where a single golfer approaches a tee, and there's two golfers or three golfers already on that tee. And generally the etiquette is if you got a single coming through, they either join up with you, or if you don't really want them to join up with you, you let them pass through. You let them play through.
Yeah.
But that playing through moment for the person going through can be very nerve-wracking because they don't want to top it. They don't want to spray it into the bush. They want to stripe it. So it was kind of like this where he comes through and he's like, no, you guys go ahead, because he really didn't want to do it. Like, he's like, no, you guys are go ahead. So he tees it up and he rips it down the middle, and then he has sort of that, the guys are all like, oh, nice shot, buddy. And he's got a kind of that chest puff walk down the fairway with his clubs kind of thing. It's like the swagger. And it's funny because it's real, but it's relatable, done in a fashion where it's made to be humorous. That's generally, the stuff that they do, where they'll poke fun and they say, oh, we're going to play the tips today. It's like, you haven't broken 90, and like poking fun at all this stuff. And that's what I like about it.
I think that relatability is important. Right?
It's huge for me.
Because the thing is that if you think about it, if you're going to sit there and watch, the top players in the world in golf playing out on, these spectacular golf courses that you might never have access to, that relatability is key, because of anybody else or most people can put themselves in the shoes of that people, and it's more than likely they're going to pass that on to somebody, because they're going to go, oh, hey, this happened to us the other day or whatever, and you're going to pass that on. So I mean, I guess the hard part for me is that as part of my role, I'm doing content all the time, but I don't really have time for a lot of elaborate creation, let's just say that. So it's and you're on different mediums because you're doing promotion and stuff for everything that we're doing or whatever. So it's harder for me sometimes to take the time after I'm posting stuff on TikTok to spend a lot of time kind of scrolling through a lot of stuff, because I'd rather be taking some of that time to maybe produce some of that or whatever. So
and that's the thing, like we do a little bit. We do the Flagstick Academy instruction,
right?
Which we started with where we shot all that out at Castleview Golf Club this year, and that's been great. And I think as far as content creation stuff that we've done in the last year or even the last 5 years, I think that's probably some of the best successful and most successful that we've done. We do the small snippets, the Ask Flagstick snippets, which again, short, simple Q&A type stuff, to the point, very successful stuff. Then we do this podcast, which from an audio perspective
Right.
very
More successful.
very
Yeah.
successful from an audio perspective. From a YouTube perspective, when we clip stuff, we started doing the little clips and posting those as shorts across social media and on YouTube as YouTube Shorts. Very popular. The podcast itself in video on YouTube does not get as many views as maybe we'd like, but I think that's the nature of when you have something that's an hour long. The video component of it is going to be less listened to. I listen to podcasts that are an hour long, 45 minutes to an hour long. I don't listen to them all at once. I listen to them in snippets of 15 or 20 as I'm getting in and out of the car. Like that's, and I think that's, so when we do these little snippet things, it'd be great to do more of it. It'd be great to do maybe some humorous stuff, some tours around the, the different golf courses, and, doing sort of a notable holes thing where we pick a different hole. You notice how I'm floating this stuff out there for our audience to kind of say, hey, maybe we should do this. I'd like to do something like that where we go around, pick a different hole at a different golf course, play the hole, talk about the hole, and, have a little fun with it. But there's lots of good stuff that you can do. There probably is very little that hasn't already been done. As far as by somebody somewhere is doing,
for sure. I don't think I don't think it's easy to make something that's new as far as a format standpoint. I think it's basically mining your audience that you've, again, as a character where people get to know you. And, we know from being around the magazine for, 25 plus years, almost 30 years now, that, people get to know you. So they that's partly what they kind of cling on to. So it's kind of like, okay, what are the other ways that we can have, material from these people or whatever? So I would say, our direction will go more that way, because it's just the way the audience goes. And I think as well, when you discuss YouTube and the length of the YouTube videos and so forth, those tend to be difficult. Although some of those channels are super popular, I assume a lot of people, even a good or something like that, they won't sit there and watch the whole video straight through. They're going to watch snippets of it for sure. They'll do the same sort of thing. But the onus on them is that their production value is going to keep going up and up, especially if you're an hour long in a video.
It's got to be entertaining.
It's got to be engaging, because your drop off is going to be it's going to be immense as far as how people are going to drop off. You definitely have to, and that's why I highly respect some of those creators that are creating big audiences, because they are putting a lot of work into it. And you see it now. You see the early on guys like Rick Shields is, one of the biggest ones. But he's got a whole team now. He's got
it's a big business for him. And it's a big business for Good, which is one of the first golf specific ones that got me hooked. Because they do so many different variations of things. Like it's not just 4 or 5 guys going out and playing some weird scramble match. They do little matches against each other. There's little things on the line. They're at different golf courses. Dude Perfect was probably the one that got me from the standpoint of entertaining social media / YouTube. That's the one that probably got me hooked first, because it was multi-sport stuff. But they did a lot. They had very, very golf specific things that they did that really interested me. So I think that was the one that really got me connected to it at first. And then as TikTok became more popular, you had all these little comedic, humorous snippets, and I just, some of them just really got you. It's like, oh yeah. Anything Golf is another one that's really fun. There's a group of 4 of them that do these little skits, and they're really I find them really quite funny.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, how many of them,
stick around,
because again, it's a lot of hard work. And I look back at meeting Rick Shields and Peter Finch early on, in South Florida. I remember at a TaylorMade event, and I was sitting right behind them while we're going through a product introduction. And at that time, they were both doing all their own edits and the grind that was there. And, right from the start, it was very clear that both of them said, at some point I want to have someone else that's doing video editing, because it's very intense, as it takes a lot of work. And especially as the videos get longer and longer, there's more graphics, more scenes, more audio, more things to have to deal with, very complicated, and they've managed to do that. And again, it shows with their quality of the angles, quality of the production with multiple angles and so forth. I think the opportunity, as you say, even within the TikTok, and I think you're seeing a little bit of difference in some of them as well, is that a lot of them were, initially just single phone, shoot them or whatever. But now we're seeing higher production value, more scripting, more things that are happening.
Yeah.
They're actually engineering things, producing things a little bit more. And I think the ones that will put that effort in are the ones that will definitely, surface and go a little bit further than the ones that just, relying on the same 5 jokes, bad material, got 1 or 2 viral videos. They're around for a little bit and then they're gone.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Any other ones that you want to mention there? Because I mean, I'm interested because I mean, again, I haven't explored a lot of the TikTok ones, but I definitely like to see a little bit more.
My TikTok go-tos right now are Bogey Boy.
Okay.
Anything golf, as I already mentioned. Four Brothers, probably my favorite right now. Easy Boys, Home and Two.
I see boys as a big theme.
Yeah. Now you get it's usually a couple of guys.
Yeah.
And then you talk about production value. I would say some of them, like Bogey Wogie Boys.
Bogey Wogie Boys. All right.
They have some really funny little thing. The production value is what you would expect. 2 guys just go out, probably something on a a few little phones or cameras on a tripod. Yeah. And they're shooting. There's some different angle stuff to it, but it's pretty. There's not a lot of graphics or anything like that. It's pretty simple stuff. They're trying to be funny. And again, I find that the theme of a lot of them is to take the everyday from the golf course and make it funny. Poke fun at it. Then there's some that I don't get. There's one. I think there's one. There's a couple. Golf Girl is one. Haley Ostrom.
Oh God.
I don't. I get what's going on there. Yeah, but it's of no interest. Like that's one that I saw a couple of snippets from her stuff, and it's like she's basically just her out golfing.
Yeah, and I think that, that doesn't. There's not a lot of plot development.
No. Paige Sporanic, she's pretty good. I'd say of the ones that there are some where there's some females involved and they're doing their thing, and obviously they're trying to attract the male audience for sure. Of course. Paige, there's nothing. Paige has been that iconic draw for a long time. So, but if you can get past that a little bit and you look at the content that she creates and who she creates it with, then you realize that she actually creates some really good social media content that's interesting to watch beyond what people would expect.
Beyond the sexual overtones.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing I don't like is like, I would rather them not just try to do that and make it all about that, because there's some of them out there that
there's a lot more substance to it than that.
Paige is different. And I think for her, that's part of the fact that she's been doing it for a long time allows her to kind of, she's still going to do her. Like that's just the way she is. But the content that she creates is not centered around it.
Which is good.
That part just exists, right?
Because you need to develop that. And I think one of the key things for a lot of these people as well to grow their audience is they have to actually get people to know them a little bit better. Mac Boucher was a great example. I got to spend some time with him, and obviously he does a lot of trick shots and stuff like that. But once I got to travel with him and spend some more time with him and get to know him better, I had that much more respect for his work process. Where I've traveled with some other content creator influencers and whatever, and if you're just an influencer for the sake of an influencer, that's way different than doing the effort to create the content, being professional about it, going about doing it. So I'd say that has influenced me a little bit of who I look to, partly because I've been on a lot of trips and things for some of these people, and I will tell you, some of them won't be sticking around, from a business standpoint, because the people that are maybe support them or engage them or want to work with them realize, okay, they're not that great to work with. So, maybe this is, while they may be popular for a while, which is great, you drive the numbers, eventually things will start to wither if they don't have the financial support, if they're not doing all the other stuff properly. So it's a fabulous and fascinating little world, that's for sure.
Now I'll tell you, here's because we all have pet peeves. We all have things that upset us about some of this content creation.
Sure.
One of the things that has been a pet peeve of mine ever since I kind of got into doing, when I started the very first version of Flagstick Golf Magazine in print, and we started to, I started building this over the years to where we're at now. There's been a lot of come and goes, and there's been a lot that have gotten into the industry. And what angers me is the ones that get into it for the selfish reasons. The ones that create blogs, the ones that get into the media side of things and stick their hand out like the media is expected to receive something from people, whether it's free golf, free equipment,
right?
That angers me. I expect nothing from anybody when it comes, and I have for almost 30 years now. We've been doing this, and I expect nothing. I don't expect free golf. Unless I'm giving something in return. And that's the thing. If I'm giving you something, there's always, this is a give and take business too, but I don't expect just because I do flagstick.com or Flagstick magazine that when I show up at the doorstep of your pro shop that you're going to comp me around a golf, or if I call you up that you're going to send me a free driver or a free bag or a bunch of balls or some clothes or something. Like, I pay for my stuff one way or the other. Either I'm paying for it out of my pocket or I'm paying for it by giving you something in return for what you're giving me. But I don't stick my hand in. And I see way too much of that. It ticks me off. Because it's bad for the industry when you got people like that coming into the industry for thinking, I'll do a golf channel and I'll call Callaway or I'll call Ping and they'll give me some free stuff to promote on my channel. It's like, they're smarter than that now.
And they're getting even smarter and they're getting even tighter with that. So if people have that expectation to go in there, that all of a sudden they're just going to, create a media outlet and, packages are going to be flowing in their door. Guess what? That's not going to be the case. They have budgets too. They have budgets too. So.
Exactly. All right. Well, why don't we leave it there, Scott? I know we got some other things we got to do today.
Yes.
Some pretty major things. So, great show. I love that discussion. We jump on that a little bit more. If anybody, that's listening or watching, you got some cool little golf social media content channels or so on that you like to watch that we haven't mentioned or you think we should take a look at. Hit us up, email us, text us, message us, reach out to us somehow, comment on this video if you're watching it and say, hey, check this out. You might like it. And maybe we'll talk about it the next episode or an episode down the road.
Love it.
All right. Well, thank you to all of our sponsors this week: Metcalf Golf Club, Falcon Ridge Golf Club, and our presenting sponsor, of course, Golf PEI. Golf Prince Edward Island is a premier Canadian golf destination, boasting the most number of golf courses per capita in the country, with over 400 fairways closer than you think, top-tier accommodations, and exquisite culinary experiences. It is the easiest golf vacation you will ever book. Book your vacations at NT times at golfpei.ca. Thank you for listening, watching, however you like to do it. Be sure to follow us across all of our social media networks, Instagram, X, Facebook, and subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us, and click the notification bell to make sure you never miss a single episode of this podcast or anything else that we put up there. Get yourself over to flagstick.com for more amazing golf content delivered every single day, and be sure to subscribe to the Flagstick Digest newsletter, where you will get that dropped in your inbox 3 days a week with lots of great information that can keep you up to date and send you over to flagstick.com where you'll get even more. Flagstick Academy, great tip up there right now on dialing in your putting a little bit more with respect to speed. Really good tip from our buddy Scott McLeod here on the Flagstick Academy, presented by Castleview Golf and Country Club. But that's it for us. As always, appreciate you tuning in. Until next week, I am Jeff Botter.
And I'm Scott McLeod.
Remember, always go for the stick.